was a rumble in the jungle. Once I heard Dad was outside again counting birds, and Mama plugged in a nightlight, and I saw the queen of the world.
Welcome to the Golden Hour Birth Podcast. I am your co-host, Liz.
And I'm your other co-host, Natalie. And tonight we are switching things up a bit. We are hosting our first mini episode. So we're going to do kind of every other week, we're going to mix in an episode from a birth story, and then we'll also do some mini episodes.
Yeah. And our mini episodes will have topics sounding like birth, pregnancy, postpartum, that kind of thing. But just things that we're familiar with. You know, we're not experts, we're not nurses or anything like that. So we'll just be kind of talking about what we know about these topics.
Yeah. And definitely bringing up our own kind of like stories and experiences behind them. Not trying to like bring anything into it, just kind of maybe helping support a mom or a friend of a mom who is like having a newborn and like the anxiety is really high, which is kind of what we're going to go into tonight.
Yeah.
We kind of both had our own experience from postpartum anxiety.
Yeah. So that's tonight's topic. And for those of you that don't know, Natalie is pregnant and she's going to be having her baby soon. So we wanted to record some episodes to be able to get her through maternity leave and not have to, take a break from you guys either.
Yeah, we love all of our listeners, so we don't want to completely go off the grid. So we're happy to stick around and have a quick 30-minute chat, and maybe you're walking the dog or something like that.
Yeah. That's what I used to do my postpartum, not postpartum, my birth story podcast when I would go on my morning walk.
Yes, I need to restart those as I gear up for another birth. Whew.
Well, the weather's changing soon, so
yeah,
it won't be 1,000,000 degrees anymore.
Exactly.
This weather.
No, anybody who lives in St. Louis gets it.
God, it's been awful. But by the time this airs, it'll probably be nice, or it'll be like snowing already. So
yeah, who knows? A mix. So Liz, if you want to kick it off, obviously you're very open about your postpartum anxiety, like from your Instagram, and like just appreciate what you share so much. So maybe you can go into your experience with it.
Sure. Yeah. Like so many other moms, I had no idea what postpartum anxiety was. I, had always heard about postpartum depression and baby blues. Those were the two things that were most talked about, especially in like the parenting, or not parenting, but the pregnancy classes, birthing classes, and then just like on like what to expect app and stuff like that. So I hadn't really heard about it until I was diagnosed, I guess, with it. But yeah, when I had Arthur, we had so many issues postpartum. I had the hemorrhaging and then the retained placenta. And then we had to go back and forth to the hospital a couple times for me to get checked. I had to get like a transvaginal ultrasound, like 3 or 4 days postpartum to make sure that there wasn't more retained placenta. And then we were taking Arthur in, every other day to get weighted feeds because of the breastfeeding issues. And so all of that, just like those first couple weeks were just like insane. They were just like, we never had a chance to just like sit, enjoy our time together. And, because of all that, I was just like worried a lot and a lot, but I wasn't sad about it. I was just like on the go. It wasn't like, I don't know. Yeah, there wasn't like sadness. So when I would go into the pediatrician's office and they have you do those, tests where you do the, I forget what it's called. There's like a test.
Yeah. Like postpartum scoring or whatever.
And I never scored poorly on it, but I just didn't feel right. I didn't feel happy, but
Yeah.
I was like really private about it because as society, you just like everything's put on the mother and we're just like supposed to have it all together. And so I was just like pretending that I had it all together. But inside, I would just like spend hours on Facebook groups and Google. And like, I was like ordering all this, gear for breastfeeding or for Arthur and like, just going down these rabbit holes of like research and trying to find the best solution to these problems that I had that weren't like, they were problems, but they were like, I need to get more milk than I got yesterday because I'm still supplementing and I want to give him like full breast milk all day instead of having to give formula and this and that. It was just like, yeah, it was just a lot. And it was pressure I was putting on myself, but also society and just like, being a mother and feeling like I had to do everything myself. And not to say that Jason wasn't a huge help. He was like up in the middle of the night with me, we definitely were like trading off. And I'm sure he could tell that there was something wrong with me, but it wasn't really until I went back to work and I was pumping and I was just like feeling a sense of calm while I was at work. I dropped off Arthur at daycare and I was there and I was like, why don't I feel like this at home? Why don't I feel like this with my baby? Like I want to be calm and happy and like my old self. And so I started going to therapy and they were like, yeah, you have postpartum anxiety, which I hadn't ever heard of, because I kept passing all those tests. And so then when I started being open about it, a lot of people were like, oh, I felt that too. And it was just like really eye opening that so many moms feel like this too. And it's just like not talked about. And when I looked it up today, it was like 10 to 20% of birthing people have experienced postpartum anxiety, which is a huge number. Like 1 in 5 people, like up to 1 in 5 people have experienced it. And like what other like postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, all these like mood disorders that we get from this big like life event. It's just so odd to me that like there's this life event that we're going through that has such a high chance of like a mood disorder.
Yeah, that's really true.
Like it's not like, oh, you're gonna have a wedding. Like, well, be careful because you might experience like depression after, which I mean, I have heard that like people felt bad after like planning a big party and then, but
yeah.
And then I was reading,
I know, like,
so like about postpartum depression and how there just like aren't that many studies on like why postpartum depression is linked to pregnancy. All they could say is hormones. That's like the answer to everything is hormones.
Everything. Yeah.
But yeah, when I did have Vivian, and I started feeling similar things, but I didn't let like the society pressures or like my own guilt get in the way of things. And so I started medication. But when I had Arthur, I didn't want to take medication for some reason. I don't know. I've never really liked medicine anyways. I took like a pain pill once for something and I was like, I don't like this at all. So I didn't want to do that. I did do like CBD oil, which I think helped a little bit, but now I'm medicated and I like it.
Whatever works for you. I know it's kind of crazy how, you are like more often than not, like you decide to like start a family or you get pregnant and you're like, oh my God, like I can't wait. I'm preparing for this baby who like is half of me and half of this person I love so much. I just can't wait. And then you're like preparing for like this huge blessing. And then all of a sudden you're like, but here's a dose of feeling crappy for the first trimester, feeling a glow in the second trimester, feeling physical pain whole third trimester, have a birth, probably going to be traumatic in some sort of manner, and then have a baby and don't sleep and don't feel like yourself. And yeah, it's wild. Birth is so wild, but it's also so amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. And then we're just expected to bounce back so quickly
Yeah.
and be joyful, which we are, and like that's a hard part too, is when you feel guilty for not feeling happy.
Yeah.
But then you have happy moments too. So yeah, it's just a lot of emotions going on.
A lot of emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that when I opened up about it, I had posted on Instagram about, my postpartum anxiety, and Natalie was postpartum, like newly postpartum. Cause I think I posted that like what?
On Mother's Day.
Yeah. After I'd had Vivian.
I was 10 or 11 days
Yeah.
postpartum. And so like, I know our experiences are so different, but like I think I will always give credit to you because like you just helped me realize that my anxiety was very high. I have never really been an anxious person. Like, yeah, I had like test anxiety in high school and college, but it was just nothing like I was feeling postpartum. And I remember like, preparing myself. I felt really good going into motherhood and postpartum. I had like a really positive birth overall and didn't have like any complications. And so postpartum, I was like feeling ready for it. Um, I wasn't like scared or anything. And I felt like I had a lot of experience with babies. Like I knew what I was going to do. But then a newborn and like taking care of it around the clock is a whole different story than having the experience I had with babies. So I just remember like the first day home, I only stayed in the hospital for one night and then I came home and my like family came over and I just immediately started crying. And I'm like, okay, that's probably to be expected because, they kind of said that the hormones are going to take like 4-ish days to balance out. But it was like over nothing. Like no one was even talking to me. No one was asking me a question. It just happened. And then the next night, the same thing. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. I don't know. I guess I just wasn't expecting it like I should have.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't know. I don't know. I didn't prepare for like those big feelings of coming out of nowhere. And then I just remember, yeah, like trying to like prepare so much. Like we were breastfeeding, but I didn't want to like introduce a bottle too soon. But I knew that a bottle was going to be helpful for both of us because that way, like Sam could get up and feed with him and I could, get my sleep. And like, so going back and forth between that, my doula was really helpful for me on breastfeeding. And she was like telling me like not to pump, but I'm like, I'm so engorged. Like, I don't think I cannot pump. Like I have to, it hurts so bad. Just like little things kept coming up. And then I remember, one of my friends sent me her Mom's on Call book, which is like how to get the baby sleeping through the night. And I think I was like so gun ho on that, like following every little thing to make sure that we could get him to sleeping, like on his own through the night as soon as possible. And it's like, man, I was putting some high expectations on a child who was new to this world, had like no, sense of anything. All they knew was the comfort of my body. Like, what? But I was trying to like do it for Sam and myself, knowing that we needed sleep. And then it just like, I'd get excited to go places or like have people over. And then it would get closer and closer. And then I'd just be like, oh my God, like get out of my house. I don't want you here anymore. it's almost 7:00. Here we fucking go. I was like preparing myself for war. And then
Nights are rough.
they're so rough. And I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to do this again? But we're going to do it.
I mean, it was easier the second time because you know what to expect, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can prepare a little bit better too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like being like my extroverted self, which has slowly dialed back a lot over the past year being a mom. But like I just like always felt very comfortable like within my family and Sam's family. And we had like back-to-back days of events with our families. And I was just like, this is so much. Like I can't talk to you. I can't focus. I have to focus on this baby. And that's just like when I knew something did like not feel right. Like I could like feel myself shaking, my heart beating fast, trying to like hold back tears. Yeah, it was a lot. And so like your Mother's Day post was like exactly what I was feeling. I was also like Googling so much because Wes was such a grunty baby. And I'm like, is this normal? Like, is he allergic to dairy? Am I going to have to cut out dairy? Oh my God.
Yeah. Every little thing they do, you're like, is this normal? You're like Googling everything. Like,
Yes. I remember being so nervous about the dairy thing too, because I love cheese. Like my girlfriend was like, yeah, I had to cut out dairy immediately because like my baby would cry all night long. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be my baby. Sure enough, he was just a grunty baby. He didn't cry or anything. He was just like, what's wrong with you?
babies are noisy. Like it's like even when they're asleep, they're still like their eyes are like fluttering and then like making noises. And you're just like so hyper aware of everything. And
Yeah.
yeah. Porn sleep is rough.
It is. So here we go again. Like as I'm talking, I'm like getting out of breath because this baby feels like in my ribs. So yeah, that was our experiences with postpartum anxiety. Again, mine didn't last. Like it didn't feel very overwhelming or like last very long because Sam was really encouraging me to like talk to you after I showed him your post and call the midwives, and like it really turned around after I just said it out loud.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, that's like my best advice I could give is almost like say it out loud, like give yourself time and room to like feel it and like what can you do to better yourself and everything like that.
And like ask for help and really recognize that like you can't do it all.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't clean the house, cook meals, entertain toddlers, and keep yourself fed, bathed, like, and a baby fed. It's a lot. Babies are hungry
All the time. You know what? If you skip a shower, yeah. And if you skip a shower 2 days in a row, don't worry about it.
Yeah. But shower. It like just do that one thing for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But you can skip bath for the toddlers or babies.
Next night.
I remember though just taking showers and just being like, oh yeah. Yep. That's all I needed.
5 minutes to regroup.
And just like, yeah, that like nothing in your mind, you know. But then you hear the phantom cries and you're like, was that a baby?
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, recognizing it definitely helped me a lot too, for sure. And I got like a book that I could read, and I started looking up like podcasts about it, looking up like specifically on our favorite, you know, birth story podcast, searching specifically for those type of episodes too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so true. You know, if anyone wants to share their story of postpartum anxiety, or just like write to us on Instagram. Like we're always here to listen and lend a helping ear and helping hand where we can.
For sure. Yeah, reach out if you want to share your story and share our episodes with your friends and leave us reviews.
Yeah. Or like anything that, like any, topic like surrounding birth or pregnancy or postpartum. Like let us know if you want us to talk about it. We're happy to take some ideas and
and if you have any questions for us, we could do Q&A.
chill.
Or any of our guests too. If you have any questions, we can reach out to our guests and ask them if you have any follow-up questions about their stories too.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Creating community, one birth and mini episode at a time.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.